Hey guys, and in this video, I'm only responding to a question I got recently from someone asking me, how did I go from chemical engineering to computer science jobs like software engineering? And so in my case, the really short answer here is that basically I talked to my boss and I wanted to learn how to write programs to solve problems that I was running into in my work. And I communicated that in such a way, and I had a boss that was nice enough to tell me that this seemed like something that I could spend some of my time working on. And so, in my case, and I think this can apply to a lot of people and where you are in case this is something that you want to do in terms of changing your career path, is that I basically so here's my story is I started out in doing a customer service role, and I was paid to answer phone calls and emails. That was my job. My job had nothing to do with writing programs to solve anything. Computer science was out of the question. My background was supposed to be chemical engineering, and that was supposed to help me because I could hopefully understand something complicated and troubleshoot that for, one of our customers in such a way that I came off as professional. And so the way in which I went about doing this, and this really kind of came from me just being curious and me wanting to learn more about, how can I develop a program or a product that can solve a problem that I'm running into or that other people are running into. And so I went to my boss, and during some of my early days at my job, I realized that we had a huge problem with how we analyzed log files. So I worked at a company that basically sold instruments to customers that would do cell line discovery and antibody discovery workflows. And our instruments were really big, really complicated, really expensive. And the log files that we got back from our customers were things that our service team, which is where I was working, we couldn't really understand most of the stuff that was coming off these things. And every time we would have to go to someone in our software team and ask them, can you please interpret this for us and tell us what do we need to do to fix this? And in terms of a growing company, that's not something that scales that well because you can't loop in a human being every single time we get a new case in. And so what I did, and I had some past experience in college as well as a former job writing some computer programs to analyze some data. I told my boss that I think I can write a Python application that can open up a SQL connection to our log files, and our log files were just SQL tables, query these SQL tables, and then return or analyze the results and print out a statement or a report that someone with no understanding of SQL or SQL tables can then understand and know how to respond to it. So that would be like our field service engineers. These were the people who would actually replace hardware on their instruments when it failed. And so for me, this was like one of the biggest projects that I actually worked on throughout my time at this company. And so the key thing that I'm trying to describe here is that even though this was not my job, I wanted it to be, and I was very interested in it. And I believed there was business value, and I communicated that I thought that there was business value to my supervisor. And I got this to be something that became part of my job, and it became a bigger and bigger part of my job. And so even though I was supposed to only be there to answer phone calls and emails from customers, my job also took on the role of developing applications and figuring out how to deploy applications to a global field service team and how to maintain code and version control and all these other things that I find very interesting. But it didn't start out like that. It really just started out from me having a conversation with my boss saying, this is something I think I can take on. This is a challenge or a problem that we keep running into every single day that I think I can fix or I can make better. And so I got lucky enough to have a boss that said, go for it. And so, that is probably the best advice I can give anyone who says they want to try a career in computer science or, developing some kind of platform or product, is to just see how you can kind of integrate this into your current role if it's possible. If not, you might want to look into changing jobs or changing companies. But for me personally, I want to work at places where they give you freedom to do other stuff besides your explicit responsibilities, because I think that's where I really feel free and able to be more creative, and that's something I need in my job. Otherwise, I'll go crazy. But yeah, so this was something that my boss told me, like, go for it. And it really just kind of took off from there. And you know, I will say the thing with computer science is that we live in fantastic times of information available to us. So if you wanted to know how to develop object-oriented programs in Python, there's a great series by Corey Schaefer on it. If you wanted to know how to define encapsulated classes in C#, there's a bunch of web resources for that. And so you have a lot of tools available to you at your disposal on the internet that anyone can reference. And so I think it's a fantastic field that is very much open to anybody. You don't even need a college degree. Like, this is something that anyone can access and use and apply to their own situations. And I think that's something that makes it very beautiful, in my opinion. But yeah, that's the short of the story as to how did I change. Why did I change is a separate conversation. And that's something that I can talk about maybe in another video, but just to keep this one short, I hope this helps, and let me know if you have any questions, and I hope everyone out there's doing well, and I'll talk to you guys next time.